Hi friends. I want to give everybody a few minutes to log in here, see how you're all doing today. We're going to do a little live lunch with Dawn and do a mini chart reading today. And we're going to talk about some new things that are going on in a chart. So I'm going to invite a guest on today and we're going to talk about a chart. A lot of you who are clients, friends who've done this work with me, if you have your charts, always pull your chart up and you can follow along with me on your own chart and remind yourself what these areas are. I do this for a reason. It's not, I bring it up with one client because it's easier to talk through it. But right now we're all going through some karmic shifting, karmic changes, right? Karmic adaptations. And I think it's time for us to start looking at the personalities of who we are and what we're personally karmically releasing. We want to go look out in the world and you're all getting bamboozled, right? You're all getting bamboozled to look out into the world and say it's their fault and they're doing that. And what are they doing? And the answer is it's all inside of you. You all came here with a soul blueprint. And what's fascinating about this is that your soul blueprint is something we have to factor into the life we're living. And so today I'm going to invite a guest on. Her name is Taylor. And I'm going to invite Taylor on to have a discussion about her soul blueprint, her soul signature. And we're going to see how she's stepping into her power. It's a mini discussion on her chart. I'm using her chart to do her chart. I'm not going to bring charts up. I don't bring charts up on any of the public forums I'm on. So I will have it, she will have it, but we'll be discussing these topics in her life, and I think they apply to everybody. They're just different. So let me go invite Taylor on, and then we're going to go from there, okay? Let's see if I can get Taylor in here.
Hi.
Oh, Taylor. Oh, hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
That's good. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. I actually just got an email about my chart. I'm gonna pull it up as
Oh, good, good, good. I'm sorry, I've been a little bit behind. I'm like overlapping on all my appointments today, but I'm glad you got it. You probably won't know exactly what to do with it, but it won't matter because we're just going to do some like mini discussions on it.
yeah, totally.
And so we're going to talk about your chart. Let's just talk about that. Have you done an astrology? Do you know anything astrology? Can I just talk, or how versed are you in understanding your personality?
Probably beginner with
Okay.
astrology. Like, obviously, like astrology signs, things like that. Dabbled in like human design and things of that nature,
Cool.
but probably not as specific as this chart is showing me in my face right now.
I know, right? It's a lot. It's a lot to look at. I know. So, what I share with everybody on these calls, and again, I'm going to go into like super minute detail. I do more advanced charts, as you and I talked about, that are like 2-hour long sessions, and we really dive into your soul blueprint. What I call this is a soul blueprint, right? We all come in. We're all a soul, whether you believe in God or source or universe or whatever it is. And we go, okay, I'm going to come down and I'm going to have this life. And you're like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And God's like, yeah, you kind of got to do that. You got to get better at that. I believe in you. You're like, no, not going to do that. And all of a sudden, beep, and we're born. And the soul's like comes through. We pick that parent, we pick that mom, that dad, that family, that reality. And we pass through the galaxy. We pass through the planets. The soul's passing, and it's basically getting a tattoo of the universe. So everybody has a unique tattoo. It's that basic, right? There's nothing, I know the chart looks super complicated, but there's really nothing glamorous about it. And so we each come in with this soul blueprint that's beautiful and designed just for you. But it also has, as I call them, a few hot spots. And so if we can acknowledge those hot spots, it makes you more badass and more powerful because the other stuff is natural for you. You're a Cancer. I own one of you. I have a Cancer daughter, so I know what you're up to. So what's super cool is we come in with that personality trait where I don't have a ton of that, personality trait or not, and someone else might have it just like you. You're like, oh, we're like. So I want you to like be able to understand if I could overcome these 3 or 4 hot spots that are kind of tricky that I did not want to deal with and I was forced to come down and deal with them, what would they be? And when you get validated, you go, okay, well, then I can do that. I just thought I had to do it all, right? When we're all trying to like accomplish so much in our lives, we feel like we get overwhelmed. So what I want to share with you is that you being your 3 signs, Cancer, which is the sign that rules mom, mothering, nurturing. So you look like a Cancer. They're very feminine and petite and they're very like motherly energy. So when they show up, they're very just nurturers. They're very natural. Some people are not natural nurturers. You guys, it's just a way you are. They're lighthearted. They're super funny. Are you funny?
I feel like I'm funny.
You can be funny. Yeah. And I think they're funny and they don't know they're being funny. I think they're just being themselves and they're like, oh my God, did that just like, so you're just naturally like kind of glib and funny and lighthearted. And so Cancers are super protective of their family and I'm going to call it like a social family too, like your friends, your family, whoever that would be. Very security conscious because it's a sign that rules home, real estate, foundation, and security. So their homes are always usually very important to them. They kind of come across passive and shy, but if you look at a crab, they get out, they pop out, they run around, they do all this stuff, and then they have to rebuild all the energy they just lost, and so they go back into the shell. And so when people tell you like it's like you shut off or you shut down, I want you to know it's okay. Whether they're telling you that or not, you need, kind of a rebuilding time. You need an energy rebuilder. And so that shut down, kind of go into your little crab shell is good for you. It doesn't have to be long periods of time, but just know that that kind of in and out energy is going to be your whole life flow, because it's how you rebuild.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So home will typically be the shell for you, right?
Yeah. It definitely, I feel that on a deep level, because there's definitely moments where I'm like, I'm still busy, but I'm like, I don't want to be, and no eyeballs on me. Like I'm my thing, but I'm doing it in the back. There's other days super wacky and loud and like, you can't get rid of me.
All over. Mm-hmm. And so there's that aspect of Cancer, which is you go out, you protect, you do, but then there's a little bit of what I want to warn you on, and not negative warnings, but we all have a high frequency and a low frequency of all the signs in our personal blueprint. And the low frequency of Cancer is they have a hard time forgetting the past. Like they have this ticker tape in their brain, like they remember things when they were 2. And you're like, you remember that when, how do you even know? You weren't even old enough. Like they have this memory and then they have a hard time letting go.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll be like, you remember when you did this on that day in 1918 at 3:42 and people are like, what? So watch that, because that's what can take you down into the low frequency of your sign when you don't want to let stuff go from the past, because they can kind of hold on to the past and collect residue from the past and then hold on to it. And then you can allow it to color your present and it's not here really anymore, but it seeps in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So watch that just on a basis of holding on to things and going, is that really right now, or can I let it go? And is it go against my nature? Yes, but doing it would actually make me better or healthier or stronger. Can you be a little moody?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So there's the Cancer. They're the water sign. They're the sign of like in the water, out of the water kind of thing. So it's like kind of ebbing and flowing with their moods. So watch your moods kind of a thing. Your sun sits in the public sector of the chart. So it's up in that 11th house. So there's a little red dot up there and it's the sun in the 11th house. So you do connect a little bit the vital force within you where you shine. The sun is where we shine. We shine our gifts, we shine our light in public. So you like groups, you like the social, you like to fit in. You're probably typically the leader. You're leading the group. You're leading them into some sort of shine my light. Hey guys, come this way, right? So you typically are lighting up a group and I'm going to call it your family. And it can be a social group. It can be any kind of groups that you kind of sit into. You sit with that humanitarian, because that's the Aquarian humanitarian kind of belief group house. And so you're kind of be drawn and identify to a lot of groups and participate in things that ideally are your cause. I'm gonna call it a cause, right? Whatever that cause may be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. It's what I do in my life right now.
Well, there you go. Right. So you're just are you a good leader? Do you lead a lot of like groups and stuff like that?
Yeah, I feel like I ebb and flow with
Okay.
it, but definitely getting in my own way is when I step back, it's me getting in my own
Yeah.
way. But like where I'm comfortable,
Yeah.
definitely like it.
So you just watch for your personality of not over nurturing everybody because it's just your natural personality, and pull into what is my purpose to lead them to and let them follow, not let me pick them all up like a mom and take them. Do you see the
Yeah,
difference?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's just something to watch. So the next thing that I look at is actually one of the hot spots, and it's your moon sign, and your moon is in Taurus. And Cancer, everybody has a sign, like Cancer is ruled by the moon, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. And so your moon sign is a very powerful sign because it is also ruling of your sun, and your moon sits in Taurus, which is the stubborn bull, right? So there's a part of you that can get a little stubborn, I'm sure, at times. But Taurus rules money and value. And so I'm just going to tell you in general, this chart is a money chart. Like, you struggle with money, yet you know the amount of money you're supposed to be making. And so you're having this, I want it, but I'm not sure how. I want it, but am I good enough? Do I deserve it? I want it, and I'm going to get it, but wait a minute. It's going back and forth. And so the material, but I want you to know, and I'll go to the money house in a minute, but that moon for you is in Taurus. And so I want you to always understand, people with money moons or Taurus moons or the moon in the second house of money, when people say money isn't everything, to you it is. And I don't ever want you to question that, not to prove it to people. You could go put it in your little coffee cans and bury them in the backyard and know you have security. That's a big deal for you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't poo-poo it when people are, maybe bringing up, why are you so obsessed with that? Or why are you focused on that? It's a very important part of this chart.
Yeah.
Is money,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you can be practical, a very loyal, loving partner. That's what a moon in Taurus would be. Very stable, very grounded. It's up in the 9th house, but the 9th house rules printing, publishing, writing. Do you write stuff or?
I mean, I feel like it's more of like.
Or teaching? Are you a teacher?
Dating and like things
Same
like
thing.
that. It's very much.
Sure. Okay. Cool. That's good, because the moon is where we have the highest highs and the lowest lows. So when you're creating something and you're writing it, developing something, and it feels really good, like it's going to change where the sun is, the masses, and help people, you're like high, you're like on drugs, right? It feels so good. And you're like, and I can make money on this and I can produce. But when it doesn't work or you're struggling with it, you feel depressed. Like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up, and I can't. It's this high low for you. So watch that, so you're not doing high low, and just go like, I'm just going to ebb and flow through this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really big deal for you, because it is in the printing, publishing. It's also in the philosophy house. So you really want to share your philosophy with people all the time. Like, let me tell you what I know. This is really good.
Let me share the things in my brain.
Yes, exactly. So they're very higher ideals, are always like secondary and above. Like, this would be higher education kind of stuff, like learning something beyond what we would learn in regular school. You can be a little bit of a dreamer, kind of like romanticizing your emotions. So it's important that you always just know emotionally from that moon, if you're always learning and studying and wanting to learn higher, like even this astrology or higher spiritual or higher education things, like let me learn how to make money, all topics for you, as long as they're bringing you security and foundation of how you feel about the world, you'll always benefit. So learn will always be a good thing for your heart, less your head, more your heart. Okay.
That really resonates with me, actually, because I always struggled like with college classes and being like specific things. Yep. But then when I was out of that setting, I'll put me in any class now, everything, but I didn't want it when I had to be there.
Yes. And that's what this house means. And so when you learn what you want to learn, it actually advances you faster, like 10 times the catapult.
Right.
Because it's for you, it's for your soul, not for some public who they're telling you to take this. I was the same way in school. I have a ton of planets in there. and I hated what they made me take. But when I took what I wanted, I was a badass smart. Like, I was like, wow, I didn't realize it's so smart. So that's what it does for you. The other thing is, this is the foreign travel house. So you probably like to travel and see like things outside of the realm, or open to, like, I'd really love to go to this trip or that trip. So the ninth house is very good for opening up our philosophy in the world. What does the world show us? And you're interested, whether it's researching it or going to see it in a travel mode. So this is just you bringing your imagination and then putting it into paper, visual, like you were saying, and then delivering it to the masses. But it, like I said, the down low of why it's a hot spot is if you're not feeling productive in that area, you can feel kind of depressed here, like I'm not making enough, or I'm not smart enough, kind of a thing. Don't accept it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's hot spot number one. Your next thing is your rising sign, and your rising sign is a Virgo. And so Virgos, are you the neat Virgo or the messy Virgo?
Um,
Or
I feel
can you be both?
no.
You're the messy Virgo. So Virgos go one way or another. They're like, I can't keep it together. And they literally just kind of let it go. And they're just like, I don't have time for it, because Cancers are typically messy. That's why I was like, wow, did she go the organized anal route with Virgo, or did you let go? And so that's good.
Yeah.
Because it can get you a little bit in trouble.
Yeah.
If
I'm
you're
definitely like free flowing, but
good.
I think also because I grew up in a really unorganized space too. So I'm like, it's never going to be as unorganized as that. So it's fine if it's this unorganized.
Right. So the good news is that there's perfectionist tendencies in there. And that's why I was saying about this product and these things and what you write and what you create, when you deliver it, be careful for that perfectionist delivery. That's where it'll get you a little bit. But if you're like, no, I can relax a little bit. Cancers are more creative. They're one of the most creative signs in the zodiac. So I want her to come out, and less getting so controlled of it is what I'm sharing with you. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you kind of project yourself. I want you to be careful. Virgo is a sign of the Virgin, of perfection, and this, be careful not to project that I'm not good enough, or am I good enough, or right, even though you're out having fun and projecting security, you got to watch that presentation of yourself. Like, do you think I'm enough? Is it a good enough? Is it perfect enough? Right? Instead of going, oh, hell yeah, it's good enough. Right? And this is a very spiritual placement, right? So being of service to people, it needs to come because you want to just share your light, not because you're fixing people. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And that
Cancer
can get you in trouble, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I feel more in tune, definitely, when it's just like, because I feel very called to just help people all the time. But
yeah. So what you're gonna like call yourself out at it, So where these hot spots are. So the hot spot number 1 was your moon. Number 2 and 3 will be, I look at Saturn and Saturn and Chiron. And Saturn is a little brown H. He's sitting down in your money house. So here's the money again, right? And so Saturn is the boulder planet. Saturn is hard knocks. Saturn is the sign of father and control and order and structure. And so you have this strong personality that it's almost like you feel blocked. Like, I want to be, and it's in Libra, which is a sign of partnership. And so there's a part of you who's like, I want to partner with all of these people, but at the same point, I'm so afraid of getting too close to them. So there's this push and pull in you of like, I want it, but there's something about, I don't know if you're dad, or there's something about money getting taken from you as a child, or you didn't have a lot. There's something around money here where there was a lot of pressure on you regarding that, what you're worth and your money. And there was a little bit of dad stuff going on. So was that present as much as it's showing in your chart?
The money thing, definitely. Definitely. Like, we grew up with like 6 kids in the house, and
That's
like
it.
2 dogs, and like divorced parents. So, and more kids over there, all of this stuff. So
yeah,
like few and far between. And like, my boyfriend will attest to this too. Like, we went through some shit when we first started having like financial conversations. I like couldn't talk about it without like blubbering. And it's much now, but it, like, money is always on my mind, literally, in a negative way.
It always will be. And again, oh, sorry, it's, I take that back. Sorry. Your Saturn is in, where am I looking here? Your Saturn is up here in Aries. I want to make sure I did the right time. We did AM, correct? Okay. So your Saturn, sorry, is up. I'm talking off my mind. I was trying to remember. I was looking in my head of what I saw, and now I'm looking at the chart right. So Saturn is up in the 8th house of others, people's money, finances, estates, properties. So it was like, and it's in the sign of Aries, which was self-worth and self-esteem. And so there's a part of you who's like, you never felt worthy of it, right? You never felt father. You never felt security. It was always about everybody else, right? It was always everybody else. There was no, and so there's a part of you going, well, how do I ask other people for money when there's just so much? I mean, there's so many kids, there's just not enough to go around.
Yeah.
And 8th house rules sex, death, and regeneration. It rules intimacy. So you getting intimately close to him means you have to share financial, which is scaring the crap out of you, right? And it's like, oh my God, if I get too close to him, I have to tell him I don't feel confident enough.
Yeah.
So there's the other people's money. I have to rely on him, right? And so what's fascinating about this, then we push down into the Aries aspect of Saturn being up there. Saturn rules father. So when I look at that and I look at your father energy, and I go, okay, what do you, your lesson is to overcome like fears of expressing yourself so that you know that who you are and what you want. So you're not questioning it. Remember I told you from the past, your past is coloring your present. And your boyfriend's like, but we're not there anymore. And you're like, but it's there, right? You're going to have to override that past and present kind of thing.
Yeah.
With
definitely.
this.
Yeah.
Okay. You also have to watch headaches a little bit. I don't know if you get headaches, but this might be okay.
Like chronic in my family, migraines are.
This is part of it. Aries rules head, and you have pressure in your head. So when you come clear with who you are emotionally and centered, the mind won't be so tensed up and you'll relax it out. But there's a part of you that's trying to overwork all this through your mind and not your heart and soul. And that's the difference. That will change your game completely.
Yeah, that makes sense. It like seemingly random, but it seems so random when it happens because I'm like, oh, I've been fine for so long, and now all of a sudden I have like a week of migraines. Like, what's happening?
Yeah. Pay attention to your finances and your emotional connections on those weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Or feeling like you need to ask someone for money, right?
Yeah.
Like, or even in your business, hey, this is how much it's going to cost. This is what it's going to be. And then you'll have that, but will they pay me? Will there be enough will they have enough to afford me? Like, it's that weird, deep thing, right? Was dad not available to, or was he in some sort of like, like what, did he just not, was he not available, or was he spread too thin? Which one was it?
I mean, my dad's my best friend. We've always been like super tight. I mean, he never made like a ton of money, like neither of my parents really did. So maybe it's the spread thin part. I mean, supporting 6 kids is hard enough. So.
Yes.
But he never.
Okay.
So.
What's that?
At least he never really showed it until like now. Like we'll talk about it all the time now. But when I was growing up, I never had any of it.
Okay. So where this is sitting, it's going to make you feel like the standard status quo is never going to be enough for you. And it's just because of how you grew up. And you, again, you made this blueprint. So God's like, you need to go make money. And you're like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You're going to do it. I'm not doing it. Look, there's none to go around. Yeah. All these kids, this isn't how it works. And God's like, well, I'm going to help you fix that. Right. And that's what happened. So what's funny about it is the third hot spot, if you look down in your second house at the bottom, there's a little blue key. And it looks kind of like a blue key. It's called Chiron. It's where we're wounded as a child and we're here to heal and teach as an adult. And it's sitting in, ready, the money Taurus house. In Libra, in partnerships. And so you're like, I'm so wounded as a child and it didn't work and it's not going to work and with my partner and all this is going to keep coming up until you go in. And Chiron is a double-edged sword, right? It's where we're wounded as a child, but we're here. If we pull it out and just cut open the weeds, where we can heal and teach others how to do what we know how to do. So you're here to now get your act together in this lifetime. It's really why you're here. You don't get to lean on boyfriend, you don't get to lean on family, you don't get to lean on they were mean to me, I'm a Virgo and it wasn't perfect enough. You don't get any of that this lifetime, right? This lifetime, your Cancer creativity has to come out like the most extreme level and go, I got this. I got to do this completely different, but I got this, and I need to do whatever I want to make or create. I need to times it times 10.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like where I'm at now, like I'm in the nervous phase because I'm actually like starting a business called Somewhere in St. Pete. And so I'm in that like kind of anxiety phase where I'm like, like, I don't know if there's going to be, I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if I'm enough.
There it is.
And so I'm in that like transition where I just need to like, fuck it, go for it kind of thing.
Yes, you do. 1000%. Because you're always going to have these ambivalent feelings towards material possessions that have their roots in that early childhood. And your chart says it, you went through it. It doesn't make it wrong. It just means they weren't capable of giving you. I have a lot of people are like, oh, my father wasn't available to me. Because if he was, you would have got weak and you wouldn't have done what you're here to do. Same thing with you. It's not about your father, but the resources weren't available to you because you had to realize you have to do it on your own. You weren't supposed to get help. And this security for you is going to come through that material, focus on your professional life. And so I want you to watch that you start working on issues of safety rather than just realizing how smart you are and how like what you're willing to give, like what, hey, you guys need this, as opposed to, do you need this? Do you see the difference?
So making it more affirmative for myself.
Yeah, or just knowing how blessed, like how much you can help people, and your talent and your creativity is going to help you out a lot more if you can look at it from a different perspective and going, okay, I literally came here to heal my money on my own and not with anybody's help. And because it's in Libra, like I said, this will put you into a conflict with your boyfriend or anyone if you're not balanced into going, oh, I'll let them help when they want to, but aside from that, I don't need to control. If they help, do I need to make up the difference so I don't feel? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was literally gonna ask you, like, okay, well, where does the stubborn like Taurus piece come into it, where you're like, I don't need your help, like I can do it myself. But I guess it's different if you're like, oh, you want to do this? I'll let you do this. And it's almost like the nurturing aspect.
There you go.
Yeah, what you need. And then the rest.
It's not so much asking. It's not so much telling. It's just saying, I welcome whatever blessings you would like to bless me in my life with. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Now they might bless you entirely and take care of you completely, which means you go over here and make more over here for another reason. It's not about the paper. It's about the value. And this is the values house. And so you're here to raise your value. This is why you're here. This is what the lifetime you came is, to raise your value and start understanding that when the more you grow sure of yourself, right, in like in your personal relationships, balance, Libra, partnership, that's what it rules, you'll be the strength for others. Because you've got that there. Now, the second whammy is your fourth hot spot that we'll talk about here is your North Node. It's a little horseshoe that sits right next to it in the money house. Okay. And so basically just imagine that that's the leaves of the tree. And then back up there in the 8th house, right next to Saturn, the past, is the roots of the tree. Now, most people go into the past. I got to lean on everybody. I got to remember the past. I got to go there. That's what I'm good at. Problem is, we water the roots of the tree falls over from root rot. And we're like, I don't know why. I'm not living my purpose. I'm not living happy. I'm not healthy. And the point is that we're supposed to water the leaves of the tree so we can get bananas and plums and grow a lot of fruit in abundance. Right? And so we avoid the money house. We're like, that's just too hard. And my point is, you have 2 hard hot spots, boulders sitting in that house saying, no, you're not getting out of it this lifetime. So again, you don't even need to speak the words to anybody. Just in your soul, you need to know, I need to raise my worth, raise my value, raise my worth, raise my value, raise my worth. The money will come to match the worth and the value, right? But that is your entire karma in this lifetime, is to learn how to partner with people. So the Libra partnership in that North Node in that house of growing leaves means you go back up there to the 11th house and you partner with all these masses of people to help them so that you build out that independence. So it's kind of like the best way I can say is you came to get your act together this lifetime on your own,
Yeah.
helping everybody. And not only helping fixing, I mean helping shining.
I was falling forward and now I'm here and I'm like ready to move it forward.
Mm-hmm.
I like.
Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel that on a lot of levels.
Mm-hmm. So this chart, again, you know, sometimes you get charts that are kind of all over. This chart is my dear about you speaking and writing and teaching and promoting and developing and learning how to raise your worth so you can pay yourself.
Yeah.
And raise your value and create abundance and security and foundation. There really isn't much more on this. There's some do you get on stage? Do you like do things like speaking or on stage kind of stuff?
I mean, through the community aspect, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of comes inherently with like education and like speaking to a group and like things like that. So there's definitely pieces of my chart that I'm already living in, which is really cool. And then there's also pieces that like I can feel that I currently have struggles with moving through and that I just need to fucking do it already.
For real. Yeah. Really, I mean, if you literally just sat and Googled this chart and said, what does the 2nd house, the 8th house, and the 9th house mean, the vibrations, the frequencies, and you Google just those 3 houses, you have a blueprint for the rest of your life. Because you're not getting out of them. They don't go away. They just get easier because you're better, right? So that's what's funny. My moon sits in my children house, right? Like offspring and children and fun. And so, yes, I start giving up myself for them, my emotions, my moon, right? And then I start realizing like they're grown-ass adults with grown-ass children. They can go do this. You know what I mean? Like I literally have to catch myself to not fall into my own traps. That's this for you. You have to catch yourself going, wait a minute, but I'm a Cancer. I'm like you guys are the CEOs of the Zodiac next to Capricorn. Like there's a lot of CEOs, right? But you guys are the most natural because you're just like, let's just go do it because it's fun.
Yeah. That is like my motto.
Okay, but then you question all on the other end. And that's why I'm saying you're good at what you're supposed to do and you're fun and you're bringing it out. Just do that. And then don't question what you're worth.
Yeah.
And if you have to, this chart, I would tell someone, go have someone else do your bookkeeping so you don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
So you can't have eyes on it, right? You can't question it.
Done, but I'm not going to touch it because it's going to mess with my brain. Yeah. I love it. I resonate with all of that. So I really appreciate it.
Does that help you have a little bit more directed focus?
Definitely. Yeah. I have some nuggets to take with me for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Any questions?
No, not so far. I feel like I'm going to I'll have to re-listen to this.
Yeah, you'll re-listen and print it and write notes on those circles and
Exactly. Like just like really absorb it so that it's not just like something I talked about, but it's something that I put into practice. So
absolutely. You're on your way. We all have those little 4 hot spots. I have mine too. And so nobody's exempt. We just know when we know what we know, it just makes you stand in your power better. Stand in your power. And when you're in your power, it won't matter what's going on in the external world. You'll still just be rocking and rolling. And then your boyfriend will be so much happier.
Well, it's helpful too to just like have things verbalized back to me that I've thought before. Because you can think about it for like
totally.
You have someone speak it to you that like, no, you're this way. Like, stop. I'm like, it like.
Totally. Yeah. Good. Good. Well, that was it. I mean, you, like I said, you're a rock star. I wouldn't question anything other than those 3 things, and you're already there. You just got to kind of mold them and nurture them, and you'll be on your way. Yeah. Good luck. Good luck on the new company, on the new business.
Much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks
for having me. Awesome. You're welcome. You have an awesome day.
You too. See ya.
All right, bye-bye.